All right, gang, let's get started. Good morning again. So this morning we've got a special guest with us. She's someone I consider a friend and someone that I've had the opportunity to work with now coming up on almost 4 years. And I'm delighted to be able to share her with you. You know, she and I have conversations pretty consistently about business and life, and so I'm kind of excited to bring her literally into your households and you know, be part of the conversation we're going to have this morning. So let's get started. Good morning, Kathleen Bruno.
Good morning, darling.
Oh, that is a beautiful view behind you.
That is my bedroom. That is my backyard. And although that's a still, that is exactly what it looked like when I woke up. I took that shot and posted it. Love it.
You know, you didn't have to admit that. We would have believed that that was the real deal. Of course, I guess after half an hour with that sunrise not going anywhere, that probably the gig would be done.
Yeah, that would have been a little odd. Might have you know, dinged my authenticity. But no, that is indeed my bedroom door. However, that is a still. But I thought it was fascinating that you could even put that on there.
No, that's great. That's great. So, well, let's get started because I know that we've got probably over 100 people on this call or more, and they want to find out more about your business and just what's going on in your world. So, tell us a little bit about you. Just who are you? Not from a real estate perspective, but who is Kathleen Bruno?
Okay, well, first of all, let me say thank you for having me on. I'm just honored that you'd even want me to say anything and talk to you.
Of course. No, this is great.
I love the glasses, by the way.
They're necessary. It's not a fashion
I get it, but they're still good. They look great. So I am, let's see, who am I in a nutshell? So I would say that first and foremost, I'm a mother. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. I take all that very, very seriously. I'm driven. I'm motivated by sometimes quirky things. I love to create things. I like to see the creation of things. And in doing that, it yields itself a lot of perks along the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Well, so how long have you been in the business?
I have been in the business for 6 years. I did not get my license until I was 49 years old.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not really good at math, but at 30,
that makes me 35. Yes.
I'm gonna say 33. So I told you I'm not good at math. So you say that you're a mom. Just if you could, I want people to have some perspective because you know I think it's fun to listen to people who maybe have some challenges, circumstances that aren't what everyone deals with. So you're a single mom.
I am a single mom to 2 beautiful boys who are still labor intensive to a certain extent. And I don't want to not be there for them. So it's very important to me. I'm the one that picks them up from school still. I do half the drop-offs during the week in the morning. I still do all the laundry, make all the meals. So I'm hands-on. So
you have 2 full-time jobs then?
I have more than that because throw a couple dogs in the mix and a couple houses in the mix and it's a whole situation. So
yeah, so you got your hands full.
I have my hands full, yes.
And yet you're able to do what you do in terms of production. So first of all, tell us in that first year in business, what did you do in terms of production?
Okay, very first year, I didn't get my license until May. I did 1 deal between May and about November, I think, but in December, because of the prospecting I had done prior, I ended up closing 7 deals that December.
Very cool.
It was, you know, it was like a train that was dead stopped on a track. And I always say this, I didn't know if anybody would buy a house from me. You never know how the world truly sees you unless you give it a whirl. And as it turned out, as I continued to prospect and it just did what was in front of me to do, it kind of started rolling. And then once it started rolling, I just gathered momentum.
Yeah, you took advantage of the big mo. So
yeah.
So that first year was a partial year and you closed on 8 transactions, closed strong in December.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. So when you and I started working together, you know, it's coming up on 4 years, but we really didn't start working together closely in coaching until about 3 years ago. Where was your production 3 years ago?
24.
24.
Yeah.
So just share with everybody where you are now in terms of production.
I've closed 66 transactions in 2019.
Which is outstanding. I mean, by
Yeah.
any measure.
Yeah.
What's your average sales price?
Average sales price out here, I would say, is about 575 to 650. We do a lot over that, and we do a lot under that too.
So is your average about in that range, or do you have a higher?
Yeah, I'd say if I really had to pinpoint, I think it's about 650.
Okay, so you're doing over $40 million in real estate volume a year.
Yes.
Which is outstanding. And the reason I want to talk about that, just clarify it, is because to give the Utah folks some perspective, because in Utah, average sales price is going to be around 375. So you're close to double that, and yet you're doing 66 transactions. So,
Yes.
you know, they start to do the math and they realize, holy cow, the money she's making. So, which is cool. What you make, you earn, you deserve. So, which is outstanding. So, well, why don't you tell us how business is? You know, in this this new norm under COVID and the stay-at-home mandate, because what you're going through, what I'm going through, is certainly a lot different than what the folks in Utah are going through. Of course, everybody in California relates, but you know, how is business? What's going on?
Well, I'm not going to call it the new normal because there doesn't feel like there's anything normal about it. I'm just going to call it the new unusual because it's, quite frankly, it's changing every single day. But I know this might come as a shock to you. I'm a little hard-headed, but
well, no, I know that. I know that. Now they know that.
But I'm also smart enough to know that success leaves clues, and I've always known that. And so there's a couple mantras I follow, and that's one of them: success leaves clues. So when I got in the business, you know, I was older. I'd been in the world a long time. I thought I knew great how to communicate. I thought I knew how to run a business, no problem. So when I looked at what top producers were doing and they kept going on and on about a schedule, well, I was resistant to that because, first of all, I'm a type A. I don't like being told what to do, like most of us. And I don't like being hemmed in by a schedule. That all felt, you know, confining. However, turns out they were absolutely right. And so when I was able to really start to schedule things with intention, that's when and you taught me that, when my business really started to be exponential. So that's the first thing that made the big leap. So what I've done is taken my normal schedule and picked up my entire office, brought it home, put it here at home, thought that that would just be a piece of cake and we'd just roll out and everything would be great. Well, guess what? So the new schedule is not like the old schedule. The new schedule includes letting the dogs out 4 times a day. The new schedule includes making the kids lunch or doing some laundry. But having said that, everything is scheduled in that there's a time to prospect, there's a time to do follow-ups, there's a time to be inside the business. With a short attention span, I do set alarms on my phone. Like, you know, if I go to the mailbox with the dog and the alarm goes off, I know it's time to go back in, and now it's the follow-up schedule. So I try to just set myself up for success all day long.
You know, that's cool. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. The challenge that we are all dealing with in this stay-at-home mandate day or days is that we're blending work and home. Home is now where we do our work, and
Yes.
Work is now where we live. And so the challenge that you're talking about is real for everybody. So I like the fact that you're actually setting a schedule, but then setting alarm notifications for when you're supposed to be doing certain things so that you stay on track. How is that working? I mean, I'm certain that it's tough to be perfect, but
yeah, for me, it's really the only way that it could work because I can it's home. Unlike the office, I don't get as sidetracked unless I start conversations, which I don't always do. But at home, so easy to get sidetracked and then justify why I'm sidetracked. Oh, well, you know, the laundry went off. I can't just leave it in there, you know.
Right.
So the first week, it was kind of a little bit of a tug of war, you know, inside my head. And then I just slowly leaned into it and just realized that when that alarm goes off, I stop what I'm doing. I go, you know, make calls. I go do follow-up, whatever's next on the docket to do. And I love to check things off. So once the alarm goes off, I do the allotted things that need to be done in that time frame. I check them off. Then I can go do whatever else I need to do.
So you're task oriented.
Yes, I am.
Your first year you did, and it was a partial year, you did 8 transactions. You're doing close to 70 annually now. How do you get to that point? Just share with people kind of what your schedule really looks like. How do you get to 70 transactions a year? What are you doing?
I'll tell you how you get to 70 transactions. First of all, you listen to the people that are already doing what you want to do. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to acclimate to what other people are doing. And one of my, I've got like 4 catchphrases that I live by. But one of them is that prospecting is the job. So every day you don't prospect, you've taken that day off. And that's kind of way I talk to people at work. So if you didn't prospect that day, I don't know how many days off you take off on a real job. I mean, this is a real job, but you know what I'm saying? A structured job. If you don't prospect, you've taken the day off. So oddly, in this scenario, 2 of my 3 favorite ways to prospect are taken off the table. So I love to door knock and I love to do open houses. I have amazing conversion. However, those aren't viable right now. So I still can reach out to my, sphere of influence, but in all honesty, I had to come up with 2 more ways that would get me in front of people, or at least talking to people. So I've taken to cold calling, which I've never really done, but I'm kind of actually liking it, especially when I break it into modules. And then I've made a great virtual selling flyer, and we've been stuffing envelopes. I've gotten the kids involved. We're making tons of them, and we're going to mail those out.
Okay. So because you can't door knock because of the mandate, and you can't do open houses, which are your 2 primary modes of getting business, you've replaced that with cold calling and then sending out marketing.
Mailers, yeah.
Mailers. And when you say mailers, this is to your sphere of influence?
No, this isn't to my farms, my 2 farms.
Okay, to your farms. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool.
Yeah, my sphere of influence, I'm reaching out to directly. That form of prospecting hasn't changed.
Okay. All right. So what would you say? Well, I guess let me ask you this in terms of because I want to give some people some perspective on what you're doing now, and maybe what you're saying as you're making your calls, but more specifically, I think, because what we're going through right now is temporary, and I want to be able to share with them what you're saying to people when you're knocking doors, because obviously you're very good at that. So share with us what that looks like.
Okay. Well, when I'm making the cold calls, there's more people home than there's ever been home. So that's what I hear from everybody that always has made calls. I've never made calls, so I just think all of a sudden everybody's home. It's fantastic. But I'm basically saying, I'm just calling you with some good news. I want to talk to you about real estate. The real estate market has not acted the way the stock market has. Things are still selling. There's still buyers. We're able to do virtual transactions from beginning to end. Have you thought about buying or selling recently?
No, it's great. So just as it relates to that, maybe as an aside, I think it's as important for everybody to hear this. I was listening to a podcast that had Lawrence Yun, and he's a national economist. He's the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. And he was talking about what 2008 looked like, really the beginning of the Great Recession, versus what today looks like. And I know that there are a lot of people in our industry, but also the public concerned about, is this going to be another Great Recession? Are we getting ourselves into the same situation we were in 12 years ago? And his perspective, as well as many others, is absolutely not, for several reasons. If you look at 2008, there was excess inventory. The home builders every year were building 2 million homes annually. Wow. Now you think about that was 12 years ago, 2 million homes annually. This year, and the last several years, they've been, I say this year, within the previous 12 months, they built 1 million homes. What is interesting is 1 million homes, which is half the production 12 years ago, and yet we have more home buyers and we have more people in the country. And this isn't news to everybody that inventories are so low. So there's that difference. The other issue is that there isn't the easy money today, and the market was not built on easy money. We don't have these subprime loans. This market's not built upon that. And then I would say that the final thing is that banks were not prepared 12 years ago. And now the banks are going through a situation where they have to be stress test every quarter and every year. So the fundamentals are very different. So when you go out and you are talking with people, I've got to believe, and you and I've talked about this a bit, but your message isn't one of doom and gloom.
No.
So what are you saying to people?
Well, and I'll be totally honest with you. Going into this, I had 11 open escrows on the first the first week or so. Nothing really happened. The second week, I lost 3. Then let's not say I lost them. They put them on hold because they're my clients and I'm still cultivating them. Having said that, in the last 2 days, I've started working with 2 clients that I've never met before. I got a sign call, which is a buy and sell. I just sent them a CMA. We're doing everything over the phone. And then I got another sign call, which is definitely a buy and potentially a sell. And I'm sending them information today. So things are still happening.
Well, so let me ask you a trick question. Why in their right mind would they decide to sell a home or buy a home today? Why are they doing that?
Because everybody's not in the same place, as we know from the news, that everybody's at varying degrees of what this means to them. Having said that, no matter what degree they're doing, you know, I've had people say, can I look at the house? I'll wear a mask, I'll wear gloves. So we're saying, no, we'll send you a virtual tour. But it's varying degrees. And the bottom line is, John, people have to move. There has been people waiting to move that couldn't find what they wanted because there was no inventory. I'm going to take a page out of Tina Hare's book. I listened very acutely years ago when she said, in 2008, when there was no business to be had, I just dropped flyers and door knocked for 2 years, or whatever time parameters you put on there.
Right.
So that when it finally broke, I would be standing, you know, my name would be in front of them. I have never forgot her saying that. And that's exactly how I'm setting myself up now. So I'm not doing anything disrespectful. I'm not door knocking now. And I'm not flyer dropping yet either, but I'm ready when the curve starts to go down. But I am making calls, reaching out to my sphere, because I think when this breaks, I think it's going to be huge. And anybody that's put in the time that just didn't, you know, lay down in the interim, that actually kept working and kept trying to generate and kept in front of people, I think they're going to have a huge business on the other side of this. I think there's pent up demand.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm hearing that word a lot, and I've been sharing that as well. There is pent up demand, and yet, even though there's going to be continued pent up demand, that pressure is going to grow. To your point, there are people out there who aren't as impacted as others by this.
Yes.
They are essential workers. They're not going to lose their jobs. They're doing very well financially. And here's the truth: people are still going to die. They're going to be born. They're going to get older. They need to upsize, downsize. There are going to be job transfers through all of this. People still have to buy and sell real estate, even in times like this. And we know this. I mean, through the Great Recession, people were still buying and selling real estate. And the truth is that those who go out and work every day, as you are, there will always be enough business. Those who don't go out and work every day will never have enough business, regardless of what the market's doing, regardless of what the economy is doing.
Yeah, I agree with that. When I started, people were saying, "Oh, Kathleen, don't go into real estate. It's unprecedented time. You know, veterans are starving to, not veterans as in the military, but veteran real estate agents are starving to death. You know, da 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 da." And I just didn't listen to that, because I felt the same way. If you're willing to work and if you're willing to do what's necessary to do in front of you, then there's always business. And I just went straight in. And they said there was no listings, and I took 7 listings in that first, you know, little bit of time. So if you're willing to do, that's my other thing. Successful people are willing to do what unsuccessful people are not. So people getting up at 7 in the morning, I can already tell that's a group of successful people. It's, you know, if you start implementing things behind it, have a schedule that's malleable, because like I said, it's not normal now. It's just shape shifting. You're constantly shape shifting, but I'm not going to take this whole time off. I need to prospect every day. That's my job. Also, I think a big thing is showing your kids and your family how hard you really do work. Showing them, you know, some people have different perceptions about real estate. My children are very privileged. I don't think they understand what goes into that happening. So having them see me prospecting, making calls, asking them to wait a moment because I'm working, in a weird way, I think this time is kind of really good for them.
Not kind of, I think it's exceptionally good, because it really does. It lets them see how hard you work, but it's a reminder to you and everybody who is at home with the kids around and the spouse around, like, man, I got to perform. And do I perform, you know, every day with that in mind, that these people rely upon me, that this is something that is beyond just, you know, George or John or my manager saying, go out and prospect, but I'm doing this for these people, which is such a great point.
Yeah.
So as you're calling people and they're calling you and they're asking, should I buy, should I sell, or should I take my listing off of the market? What are you saying to people? What's your message?
Okay, so the answer is, if you want to list, I had this conversation twice yesterday with the 2 people I was just alluding to. The answer is yes, let's list it. The competition is not as steep. Prices are still high. We don't know what the prices will be like on the other end of this. We can do everything virtually. Things are still selling. I love this virtual home selling flyer. I should send it to you. You should send it out, because it was done by Mike Emerson. I can't take credit for it. Mike Emerson did it. He did an amazing job. but it really puts a fine tip point on all the aspects of how you really can sell your house virtually. So I'm speaking to them that, yeah, now's the great time to sell. If it's a buyer, we're writing offers subject to inspection. I'm making it very, very clear that if they walk in and it's not the house for them ultimately, then we can change and start looking for something else. But let's get you into the listings that are out, because you got beat out so much before the crisis happened. Now you're not going to get beat out. So this is the perfect time. Maybe we can find you the greatest house.
Cool. So one of the things that I want to do for everybody who's listening, help them to structure their approach in terms of getting business for the long term, not just what's happening now, but the long term. So when you're door knocking, what script are you using? What do you say to people when you knock on their door?
So when I'm in coronavirus times, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm not door knocking right now. I just want to make that.
No, I get it. Of course, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, hi. When I'm door knocking, first of all, I get out of the car, whoever I'm with, and I say thank you to the universe for business, because I think you're always manifesting. Thank you for the business you're about to give to me. Some people think that's hokey. If it works, don't fix it. It's always worked for me. Thank you for the abundancy. Thank you for the favor. And then we're going to be out for 1 hour, no matter what. If we talk to one person for 1 hour, or we talk to, 50 people in 1 hour, or we talk to no one, we're going to be out 1 hour. That way, whatever your time is that you set, you look forward to going, because there's a beginning and an end. Yeah. So you can just lock it up in that time frame. So whatever happens, critical. And then we go as light. We don't go intense. We just go, we're going on a walk, we're talking to people. If you have a need, we're here to help you. So we're basically knocking on the door. Hi, I'm Kathleen Bruno with Century 21 Everest. We're just coming to bring you good news. Prices are high, the inventory is low. Have you thought about selling? And we just start to generate an organic conversation with them. But we step back from the door. We're not aggressive. Even just the way I speak is aggressive enough. So I need to pull back. I'm not as, I just don't want to be intrusive to them. And in all honesty, in all the years I've been door knocking, I've had 2 really negative times when someone was not happy with me. So that's out of thousands of homes at this point. So people that are nervous to door knock, most people are friendly. Most people are lovely. And if they're not nice to you, that's on them. You're just there to help them.
Well, I think it's interesting that out of thousands of doors that you can say that, and I think that it doesn't have so much to do with those people, but the way you start the process with your mindset of abundance and of you're just there to help, and that that you're light. You don't come with intensity. You come with open arms and the willingness to help people. And I think that affects the way people respond to you. Don't you think?
I do. And when I was new, one of the things that we did, so again, because I'm a pain in the beginning, I am teachable, but it takes me a minute. I didn't see the values in scripts because I believed, I could talk to people. I didn't want to sound scripted, all the same things everybody says. However, as I started to realize that was fundamentally incorrect, one of the things we do on our door knocking is we role play between the doors. So we'd take whatever script we wanted to work on that day, and who doesn't need a walk? And who doesn't need to practice their scripts? And then you would just pick up talking to people along the way. And I thought it was women are amazing multitaskers, and guys are great at just checking stuff off and getting it done. So it's a win-win.
So if we can get your script on door knocking as well as that virtual marketing brochure and send that out to everybody, would you be okay with that?
I'd be fine with that. And the biggest script in door knocking is the one between your ears. I mean, the reality is, if you go, I won't say his name, but he was a very wealthy individual at one point. And when I first suggested door knocking to him, he was borderline horrified because there was something about him that thought maybe that was beneath him. And as we went, I was like, you're not thinking of it right. You're working for your family, you're working for your company, you're working for your team. If you're nice and you have something to offer, then they should be receptive to you. And if they're not, that's on them. So after he saw the production, I'll never forget, we had a great story about one. He was hot and he got back in the car, and the next door turned out to be $1 million listing. So, and that's a true story. That's all documented. And as he saw the value of the door knocking, he understood that if you just get your mind right, that it's about if you're a person that doesn't like people knocking on your doors, you kind of get stuck right there. But that's not the truth. That's just how you're painting it, because a lot of people are really, really nice when you knock on the door.
They are. They
Yeah.
are. And I think it's, especially with somebody who comes to the door with the attitude that you have. So I want to ask about that, because I think it's obvious to everybody who's watching you and listening to you that you come from a position of abundance and you have a great light about you. In fact, that sunrise behind you has a lot of competition with you in front of it.
Aw.
So, no, I mean it. So, talk to us about how you maintain a positive mindset. What are the things that you do to stay on top of things mentally and emotionally?
Okay, well, two things very important. First of all, I had I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of energy. I was born with a lot of energy. And I have a gift of being able to understand fundamentally that there's only love and fear, and you get to choose. It's not happening to you, you're choosing. So if you are in love, like there's been a couple times when I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to work from home with the dogs barking and the kids and everything happening? And then I thought, oh, that's fear-based. Let's just be grateful for this time to be with the kids, and the dogs will calm down once they realize this is the new, way it's going to be. And so I'm very attuned to rewriting it. So as soon as a fear-based thought or a negative thought will come in, I'm very good at going, well, that's silly. I can erase that immediately with gratitude, because they cannot exist in the same place. And I've known that for a long, long time, decades now.
Okay, so I just want to make certain that everybody grasps what you said, because what you said right there was very valuable and very important. You are very conscious about what you're thinking.
Yes.
Consistently.
Yes.
And if it's not a productive thought or story, then you said it, and I know what it is, but I want you to say it again. What do you do with it if it's not productive?
Then I change it to gratitude. So,
yeah, but you used a word there.
Love.
You rewrite it.
Oh, I rewrite. Yeah. I rewrite it. Yeah. And that I have the power to do that. And I've known probably 30 years I have the power to do that. And, there you are. Okay, you're back.
Yeah,
all right.
Good.
And it's a skill that as you do it, if it's hard in the beginning, it just becomes easier and easier and easier.
Well, in fact, I say that all the time, that mindset is a skill set. So like anything, it can be practiced, learned, and improved upon.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And obviously, go ahead.
Let me tell you the story. My very first listing ended up being across the street from my house. I got my first listing and my second listing on the same day, believe it or not. My mom and I are sitting on the couch on a Sunday night. She doesn't come out to visit very often. I was thrilled that she was there. We were just cozy and on the couch. And I said, oh, shoot, I promised I would door knock 1 hour on Sunday. And she said, all right, well, whatever you want to do. And I said, no, I kind of like being here with you. And she said, well, I'll go with you. And I said, you will? And she said, yeah. And I said, all right, you know what, Mom? Successful people are willing to do what unsuccessful people aren't. So we got out of our shorts. I put on my loose-fitting professional outfit, and walked out the door. We probably door knocked 10 houses, and they said, yeah, we've been thinking about selling. Can you come back on Tuesday? And that was that Tuesday. I took 2 listings. But if I hadn't, it would have been much easier to stay on the couch. It would have been much easier to say, well, my mom's here, so I don't really need to go. It would have been much easier to say anything, but I just rewrote it as, no, it's 1 hour. You said you were going to do it. Let's just go. Let's see what happens. And then you feel good. Even if I hadn't got that listing, I still would have felt good living into my own words.
Yeah, that's great. That's cool. So just a couple more things, and then we'll wrap up. I really appreciate your time, and it's been fun to have this conversation with you and have everybody be part of it. So I guess from a mindset standpoint, what's the one thing that you would share with everybody listening as it relates to what's going on in the world today? What advice would you give them?
I would give them that I believe that this is temporary. And as long as I frame this out as temporary, I want to be ready to roll on the other side of this. And so if I can look at the gratefulness in this and pull out that this is time with my kids I would have never slowed down to take. This is time in my house, I would have never the closet's been needed cleaned out for a year. Now it's cleaned out, so this is a gift in some ways. And I'm not belittling the severity of it or the horror of it, because it is actually horrible. However, to protect my mindset and protect my family and my production and the culture of my home, I'm clinging very tightly to what I can see that is great in this season that we're in right now.
I love it. I love it. Having the right perspective and being grateful.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is cool. So just one final thing. Of course, you and I, we work together professionally. We also coached together. What advice would you say, what words of wisdom would you say about coaching? Because I know that it's interesting that a lot of people, they'll come up with reasons as to why they aren't coached or they shouldn't be coached. Some will come from the perspective of, I have enough production already, or a lot of people will say, I can't afford to be coached. Some people will say, I'm not coachable, so I don't really enjoy the process of coaching. What would you say to that?
Well, I'll go right back to what I said. I'm sort of on that side also. I'll go right back to success leaves clues. And I was resistant to scheduling. I was resistant to coaching. I was resistant to scripts. However, I was also wanted to be successful and quickly. I didn't have 10 years to, I was already 49 years old. So I looked and saw what successful people were doing. It seemed to me that the more successful the people were, the more they were involved in coaching, the more scripts they knew, the more they followed a schedule. I have been in coaching now for 4 years. I would never be without coaching because it's how you get better. You can be incredible. I'm a great communicator. I've been in the world a long time. I love people. I have the energy, but without a way to hone it all together, it just kind of flitters around. It would just take so much longer. With coaching, it just solidifies everything so you can get to where you want to go a lot quicker.
Very cool. Well, Kathleen Bruno, it has been fun to chat with you this morning.
Yes, I don't know if the sun's ever going to come up. Yeah.
No, you hit pause. I love it. It's been a pleasure. I'm really grateful that you take the time to do this and share your wisdom and your joy and your light. I think especially right now, people need to see this. They need to see that you can be nervous and scared because, at times we all are. As you said, this is a scary situation. And yet, if we have the right thoughts or we write those negative thoughts and engage in the right activities, we're going to get through it. And you're a great example of that. So thank you for your time this morning.
Well, you're very welcome. And I'll go back to it's progress, not perfection, because this is all crazy. But I love that you would even speak to me. I'm very grateful. I love this company. I've recruiters from all over try to recruit me. I don't even entertain it for 1 second. I love this company because the leadership, does what they say they're going to do. They live into their words. They're human beings that I can admire. It's not a lot of people I can look up to. And in this company, there's several. And I'm incredibly grateful. I'm really in a space of gratitude. You guys are really, really incredible human beings. And I appreciate that very, very much. And I love you to death.
Well, I love you too. And thank you for everything you're doing. So have a great day. Go out there and make those calls.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. All right. Thanks. All right, gang. I hope you enjoyed that. She is one absolutely phenomenal professional and a great lady. So thank you again, Kathleen, for your time.